Hello everybody, welcome to the pre-match press conference with New Zealand. I'm just going to hand over to Willie Nichols to run the media conference. Thank you.
Cool, thanks Mary. Hello everyone, thanks for jumping on. We've got Sodhi, who's currently in my room. I'm just outside. Ish, could you hear me through the laptop there, mate?
Yep, got you clearly, mate.
Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, firstly, thanks for joining us. I'll ask each a couple of questions, guys, and then if you raise your hand in the chat, I will just put an order there for you to ask them the questions. But I suppose first up, Ish, I think quite a few people are wanting to know, how are you following yesterday's game and that nasty-looking glow from the ball?
Yeah, thankfully it wasn't too bad, and unfortunately I dropped the catch and it kind of burst through my hands, but my hands kind of lightened the blow a little bit. But no, definitely woken up with a little bit of a headache, but thankfully all the procedures in place have been taken, and Doc Cameron's ruled out chance of concussion, which is great.
Cool, and I suppose not a lot of time to sort of recover and set your sights for a pretty important game tomorrow. I think you guys have just done your scouting. Can you talk us through, how you're preparing for tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I think across the board so far in the tournament, we've all, had a lot of small contributions that have worked out really well for us over the past 3 games, especially, and we're just trying to remind ourselves of what those strengths are, and we're very aware of the threat that Afghanistan bring. But if we do the basics really well and keep building on what we've been doing well, I think we'll give ourselves a good chance.
Speaking of those Afghanistan threats, as a fellow spinner, I imagine, you've got a lot of admiration for their spin attack and the danger they pose.
Absolutely, spearheaded by Rashid Khan. Obviously Mujib Zadran is phenomenal as well, but Mohammad Nabi, very cagey off spinner and bowls really well through the power play too. So that's definitely where their threat lies with their bowling attack, and I'm sure all the batsmen during the scouting meeting have taken that into consideration, as well as the threat that they bring with the bat. I know we spoke about it in depth this morning with our scouting and things like that. So hopefully we can put together some good performances tomorrow.
And just lastly from me, a new venue for the team tomorrow at Abu Dhabi. What do you guys know about that venue, or what are you expecting there?
I think across the board, everyone speaks of it being a reasonably good batting surface. I think it's considerably different to what Sharjah brings, slightly smaller boundary with a quite low wicket. And hopefully if there's a bit of bounce on the surface, we can extract that as a bowling attack. It's something that I think do pretty well in New Zealand. So hopefully that does work out pretty well for us. But a big thing for us is adapting to conditions. And I guess when we get a chance to see the wicket, see the conditions at the ground and stuff, then we can hopefully think on our feet and be instinctual when we get out there.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Ish. I'll pass it over to Ian Anderson, who's online from stuff back in New Zealand on the night shift.
Hey, Ish, how you going?
Right, Ian, you good, mate?
You're good. Hey, just talk us through a little bit about the knock. How did it feel at the time, and what did you need to do to sort of to fix things up, and about the sort of concussion test that you have to go through?
Yeah, I think in the end it beat me for the lack of pace. I let the ball out, and David Weiser gives the ball quite a good whack, and so I kind of expected it to hit me a little bit sooner than it did, and so thankfully in the end I got my hands in the way, but it would be nice to catch the ball. Once everyone saw that I was all right, they were reminding me that I dropped the catch. But it's good. A bit of a knock to the head, bit of a headache. Initially there was a bit of shock there, but thankfully over the past 24 hours there's been no issues so far, and now we can just kind of move on and look forward to tomorrow.
Do you feel like a bit of an All Black going through an HIA test?
Oh, not quite. I don't really have enough muscle on my bones for that, mate. But yeah, maybe one day.
So what do they do to just check you out?
So go through a protocol out there, ask you a few questions. Doc Cameron came out with our physio Tommy, and they kind of ask you a few questions to make sure that you're kind of there with everyone around you and things like that. But also there's a concussion test that we do kind of during the pre-seasons. We do that every year, and we just try to revisit that and make sure that your numbers are all the same.
Right. Obviously not a game you would have wanted to miss coming up either.
Yeah, very, very exciting game. I've never played Afghanistan before. I played a few of their players around the world individually, I guess, in franchise competitions, and very aware of the threat that they pose. But on the back of that, I think our team's been performing really well, and it's been a a lot of people contributing at different times. So hopefully that can continue, and someone can put on a match-winning performance, kind of like Guppy did against Scotland. I think that'll go a long way for us to hopefully put in good performance on and winning the game.
Is it handy for you to know now that the equation is pretty simple, winning your through?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've approached almost every game like that so far, and hopefully we can do the same tomorrow. Be really clear on what's been working really well for us. Everyone's been doing a great job behind the scenes and the support staff with the scouting, and there's been a lot of cricket that we've been able to watch, take into account what the conditions are going to be like in Abu Dhabi. But you can watch as much as you can on TV, but I think it'll be the time that we get to the ground, assess the wicket, assess the conditions, and then we can keep moving from there.
Cool. Thanks, Ish. All the best.
Cheers.
Happy Diwali, Ish.
Happy Diwali, man.
Yeah. So my question is 2 questions to you. One is related to Diwali, another to cricket. Okay. So my first question is to you for Diwali. How you celebrated Diwali at the bio bubble scenarios? Lots of sweets.
Well, yeah. So we've been really fortunate to have a buffet that's put on. The chefs have been fantastic here, and luckily our security manager Terry, he's got some Kashmiri roots, so he got in the ear of the chef and said, instead of having some fruit or like a cake or something for dessert tonight, can we get some gulab jamun and maybe some gajar halwa? I was pretty gutted that he didn't organize some ras malai. Obviously that's my favorite sweet, so a bit of a shame, but nice to be able to spend Diwali with a couple of people, and it's been really cool because a lot of our Kiwi guys have, the Kiwi players have played in the IPL a lot, and so in the early morning, the first thing they said was Happy Diwali, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, nice. I love just having the gulab jamun. So thanks for remembering the gulab jamun. So back to the cricket. We see that the 2 spinners trend is coming up in the cricket. So do you think with the upcoming home season of New Zealand, the 2 spinners will also handy there as well in the T20s, like you and your partnership with Mitchell Center?
Yeah, look, I think for a long time now we've played 2 spinners in New Zealand already for a long time. So it's something that's worked reasonably well for us in those conditions. Considering the wickets in New Zealand are pretty flat, the boundaries are really small, and so taking wickets is always really important. And I guess to have some variety in your bowling attack is always really important there. Where over here, I think the conditions have been very different at all the grounds that you can see. Sharjah has been quite low and slow. Dubai has probably had a bit more bounce, and Abu Dhabi is, I think, for the most part, a pretty good batting surface. So variety in your attack, I think, is always nice to have. And thankfully, we've found a good balance so far, and hopefully we can show that tomorrow when we play against Afghanistan as well.
Yeah. So all the best for the upcoming games.
Thanks, man.
Hi, Rasesh here from HT. The question for you is pretty simple for you guys to make it to the semis. For Afghanistan, it's a bit more complex. Do you expect them to come out playing differently? And how would the team be weighing that in?
Personally, I haven't really looked at the run rates a hell of a lot, so I wouldn't kind of know at the stage what the equations are around that. I think it's, like you said, it's quite simple for us to keep focusing on what we've been doing well, and if we put on a good performance and we come away with a win, that means we go to the semis, and that'll be great. I think although regardless of the equations, we're really aware of the strengths that Afghanistan bring, both with the bat and with the ball, especially in their spin bowling attack. Being a day game, I'm not too sure if Dew's going to play much of a factor. So if we get the basics right for a long enough period of time, keep doing the things that we've been doing well, I think we'll give ourselves a good chance. And the first thing we need to do is assess the conditions and see how we're going to do that.
Yeah, hi Ish. Good luck for the game. My question is 2 parts. One is that New Zealand have been the most consistent teams in the ICC events over the last half a decade. But as we saw in 2019, New Zealand were called underdogs. New Zealand were very unlucky not to win the tournament. that World Test Championship final also, New Zealand was termed as underdogs. So first of all, does the underdog tag sits well with this New Zealand team? And the second part of the question is, tomorrow's game is sort of a virtual quarterfinal. And not only New Zealand and Afghanistan, rather 1.3 billion Indians will be watching as well. We'll keep an eye on that. So does that bring an added pressure to perform?
I guess on the underdog part, I don't think we've ever even spoken about that. We just try to play as good cricket as we possibly can. Big part of it's been the leadership group have harped on a lot about adapting to conditions as quick as we can, and I think that's been tailored into our training. So if you come and watch a training, especially when you see some of the guys that have been playing for the last 10, 12 years, I think they're very specific with their training when it comes to preparing for certain conditions or certain matchups. So I think that's something that we've done really well over the past wee while. Really fortunate to play alongside some great players in this era, some great batsmen, obviously, led by Kane and Roscoe, in a spearhead bowling attack that's done so well in conditions all around the world. So I think they've been a great benchmark for a lot of us to look up to, and that's been hopefully showing up in our performances over the past wee while. And I guess looking forward to tomorrow, we see it as another game. I think if we keep it as simple as trying to adapt to the conditions as best as we can, and being aware of the threats that Afghanistan pose, and also taking into consideration the things we've done really well. If we can do them really well, I think then we can put on a good performance, and all that other stuff takes care of itself.
So, Hayan, I've put your name in the chat if you want to ask, from TV9. Otherwise, we will wrap it up there. And I'll give him 3, 2, 1. He might have missed his chance. He might no longer be there, but we will go now, guys, unless his mic's not working. He can't unmute. Okay. He's just talking to me on the chat. Do you have a question you want to ask, or will we wrap it up there? Depending on how fast he's going to type. All right, Ish, if you just hold fire for 10 seconds,
sure.
Here's
easy.
Write it through the chat. Yeah, old school.
Yeah. Do you want me to type it back?
Morse code. I think he's going to ask a question to do with Trent Boult and Tim Southey and them finding their edge in the last couple of years and where they're kind of at. So if you want to answer that.
Edge?
Yeah, and sort of, I suppose, being at their very best at the moment.
Yeah. How much does it read? I can only read half of the question, but I'll speak on them a little bit. I think Trent and Tim are some of the greatest bowlers New Zealand's ever produced. And it's been great to have them in this era. I think what they've done in all 3 formats of the game is something it's really unique. They've spearheaded the bowling attack for a really long time. But I think the really cool thing that I see with them is they've taken a few guys with them. A lot of people look up to the standard at which they produce. Whether it be in Test cricket or whether it be, putting themselves on the line and always bowling the hard overs in T20 cricket and taking wickets in one-day cricket. I think it's something fantastic to feed off for the rest of the bowling attack. A lot of young seamers in New Zealand want to bowl like Tim Southey and Trent Boult, and I think that's a great reflection of how great they've been for so long. And another really cool thing is they always keep adapting. Trent's, one of the greats going around. He's still working on different slow balls in the nets. Tim's changing up a few things in T20 cricket to help him be great in all different conditions. So they're still constantly learning and wanting to improve, and that's very inspiring for the rest of the group.
Cool. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for jumping on, Ish, and thanks to all the media for your attendance.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.